Chapter 21 Final Preparations Before Conquest. Furthermore, in order to verify the authenticity of what Merlin said, he went to find other court magicians who followed King Arthur to verify it. The main reason for looking for King User's court magician is to tell King User this matter must be known by King Yaozef. If King Yaozef didn't know, what about his allies when he was at war with Vortigern? Gone. If Lot hadn't attacked the hinterland of Vortigern, Camelot would have lost it again, change home and then lose again. On the contrary, he harmed King Yaozef and himself, and the result verified by the magician was of course exactly the same as what Merlin said. Of course, now Lot was very happy when he got the news. Who doesn't want to have one more skill? After the inspection, he went to King Yaozef again and told him all these plans. Then he returned to his castle. As soon as he walked into the study, he spoke to Morgan. Morgan, come, let me tell you good news. And after speaking, he saw Morgan clearly at this time. The right hand firmly held the quill pen, and used the knife to carve bamboo slips and imprint it on it. Very hard. Lot happened to see Morgan like this. He swallowed. Seeing her like this, I won't be silenced anymore. Morgan put the pen down. Laughter. Why did you come back so fast? My elegance. It's all gone in front of him now. Sexual Goozy thought I was going to stop talking. How hideous my expression was just now. Fortunately, there is only one person. If someone else saw it, then I really want to stop talking. Morgan thought in his heart. And for Lot. Lot, your quill is not easy to use. I tried hard just now, and I couldn't get the ink out. Morgan explained to Lot. I know. Lot nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. And now Morgan looked at Lot's heart. After watching it carefully for a long time, there were only two words in his heart. From the heart. Yeah. Morgan nodded in satisfaction. Then, she asked Lot, by the way, what did you say when you came in just now? That's the case. There is a solution to what I was worried about. Lot said to Morgan. What? Morgan was stunned. Wasn't this an excuse deliberately made by this dog? Did he really solve it? I thought he was just looking for a place to fish. It turned out that he still went to work. Morgan walked to Lot's side and said embarrassedly, I seem to have misunderstood you just now. It's okay. How can there be a man who gets angry with his wife casually because of trivial matters? Lot sat down and said to Morgan, at the same time in my heart, hey, give all the files to Morgan, and it doesn't seem like I'm lazy. I am so smart. I was wronged, but it doesn't seem to be totally wronged. Morgan rubbed his temples. Sometimes, it is not a good thing to hear too much. So, what are you worried about? I said that I was worried about the other party's magician. Lot explained to Morgan again. Then do you have any good solutions? Morgan asked Lot. Morgan would not fully understand the magician's abilities. If anyone could see the fleet, that might be the case. Morgan, my body has a special physique, which can perfectly shield other magicians from probing. If you don't believe it, you can use some probing magic to try against me. Lot put on an expression that hurried to try. Looking at his Asia triumphant smile, Morgan didn't know what expression to make. Lot, are you kidding me? You said you can't be detected by a magician. But looking at Lot's expression, Morgan didn't know what to say. But since he said it to himself, let's break his thoughts by himself. Also, Merlin, are you deceiving my dog who doesn't understand magic at all? After I break his mind, I'll hit you the head again. Morgan thought in his heart. At the same time, she used a probing magic. Well, watching my magic, you can understand your position anytime and anywhere as long as you take it all at once. Morgan was stunned when he was halfway talking about his proud words. My own magic has no effect at all. I can't really probe you. Look, I didn't deceive you. Lot said to Morgan. Morgan's expression of surprise couldn't hide it. What's the situation? If you don't want it, you can hear Lot's heart without using any magic. And sometimes, even if you don't want to listen, that's not okay. But when I was using the exploration magic, it didn't work at all. What happened to Lot? Look, there is nothing wrong with what I said. Looking at Morgan's expression, Lot knew that Morgan's magic hadn't worked. Morgan's surprised expression is really funny. Morgan put away his expression. Don't show such an expression to the dog easily. I am the queen who wants to control everything. How can you be surprised? Well, it seems that with you, our actions will definitely be easier. Morgan pretended to nod and said calmly. At the same time, she couldn't help but look at Lot. Why is this guy so good? Anything can be done, and all the troubles can be solved. In addition to giving me less thought of the messy things in my heart, and doing things to give me a little more positive, don't think about fishing all day, that would be great. Morgan thought in his heart. Well, it seems that there is still a lot of way to go for the task of transforming the dog. In the next few days, everyone was still immersed in the aftermath of the wedding banquet. The humble king has already begun to prepare his army. It is not good for King Yaosa to stay here more, so he must quickly go back to Camelot to prepare for the attack. And, because Lot is not there, he needs to prepare more things. Morgan took advantage of this opportunity and asked Lot to recruit Kay and Altria to become knights. After becoming a knight, Lot also arranged 2 scout knight squads to let Kay take over. In this way, the Night King and the Knights of the Round Table, who were above the original history, have now become the captains of the 2 scout knight squads. Oh, by the way, Merlin also stayed with Orkney temporarily. On the surface, It is to prevent enemy magicians. But from a deeper level, Lot knew that Merlin must have been ordered by King Arthur to protect his two daughters. After all, if Morgan and Altria were wiped out, King Arthur would be the last. Chapter 22 is on board. First more. After Morgan began to take over Orkney's government affairs, he realized that this was definitely not a very easy thing to do. Especially recently there have been two more troubles. And these two troubles came from Camelot. The first is Merlin, an old liar. I go to molesting women all day long. Basically when I see young girls, I can't help but talk about it and take advantage of it. Merlin's status is noble, and he looks the most handsome in the entire Orkney except for his husband Lot. Girls who don't know him are easily deceived by him. As for this kind of hooliganism, Morgan firmly cannot tolerate it. Hit hard. But who Merlin is, no one can catch him except Lot. This old rascal, if it weren't for him, was really useful. Morgan had to let his husband throw him into the ocean and let him swim back to Camelot. And the other one is Altria. He is very honest. No typos. Morgan still doesn't know Altria's gender. He is also very serious in doing things. The skill is also good. However, the appetite is too big. The supply of a small team is better than that of a large team. Altria ate it all alone. Morgan seemed to understand why Sir Ector, a master swordsman, was so poor, and he promised Kay and Altria to join his command. It was so happy. The landlord's house has no surplus food. Morgan remembered Lot's words and couldn't help but spit out. Of course, there was another guy who made Morgan even more angry. Lot was sneaking fish all day long. I don't know where to go to sleep every day. In the evening, he was very energetic. Pity myself did it during the day and at night. Why is my husband so lazy? Humphrey, if it wasn't for your face and your brain, the old lady would have hammered you to death. As for now, Morgan brained up after he became the Lord of Britain in the future, and locked Lot in the palace to criticize government affairs for her every day, while she was always pretending to travel. Well, satisfied, continued to work. Morgan continued to process the official documents. At this moment, the door opened and Lot, carrying a fishing rod, walked in. Morgan, how's it going? He smiled and said to Morgan, hey, now you see how troublesome it is to be a king. I think you still want to pursue the throne of Camelot like that. Wait until you give up and I will deal with so many documents. It's not the time to fight for it now, but wait until the time is right in the future, and I will help you win a territory larger than Camelot. Morgan couldn't help but curl his mouth when he heard Lot's heartfelt voice. You are so lazy. When is the time right? Also, even though you are my dog, I don't want to wait for you to give it to me in the future. My Morgan is very capable. I have such an excellent quality. If I can only use your charity, what is the difference between me and those vase-like women? Lot, I know you are great, but Morgan will definitely not lose. What I want is the queen who rules Britain, the co-ruler with you. Not a queen. That's why I won't take over your thoughts. Morgan pointed to the official documents and said relaxedly, with this little thing, I can finish it easily. Although the old lady almost broke her hand from exhaustion, at this time, she absolutely couldn't admit defeat. Yes, Lot looked at the document looking at his scalp numb in confusion. This is still less. I almost didn't cry when I saw these. However, I can't add anything to my wife anymore. If this is more, what should she do if she is really exhausted? Morgan was satisfied when he heard Lot say this. It's okay, dog, you still know that you care about me. Lot, who do you think I am? Morgan said proudly. Say you are fat. You are still breathing. Lot murmured silently in his heart. Morgan's mouth twitched involuntarily. Well, you actually said that I am fat. This hatred, Morgan wrote down for you. Lot didn't even know that Morgan had another black account. He grabbed Morgan's hand and said to her, okay. The temporary documents are almost processed. Next, we should prepare. One thing. What's the matter? Morgan glanced out the window. It's still daytime now. What if someone comes back again? What do you think? Lot looked at Morgan's expression. Although he could not read his mind, he could also tell what Morgan was thinking. I said, we should go to prepare the ship. Ready to check the army. We should be ready to go. Sailing offshore. But it takes a long time. Lot said dumbfoundedly. Oh, Morgan was relieved. But after that, she felt that she was being molested by Lot. I'm just thinking about the ship. Have you misunderstood me? Morgan said blankly. At the same time, she held her head up and walked outside with the graceful steps of the nobleman. Go, come and see the army with me. Good. Lot followed Morgan closely. Then, Lot, you bastard. Morgan gritted his teeth and watched Lot, who was walking past her, quickly said viciously. You walk as you walk. What do you do with people's ass? She heard Lot's voice just now and knew what he was going to do. However, Lot's melee ability is nothing Morgan can match. The body simply can't keep up with the reaction. Although embarrassed, Morgan had to pretend to be dignified outside. Let's have a face. Of course, the grievances are not unreported. Standing by Lot's side, fingers gently twisted around his waist. She got two joys. First, Lot's painful, but still forced to pretend that there is nothing. Second, it is his crazy cry of pain in his heart. Morgan thought very excitedly. In front of them, an army of thousands of people was already almost assembled. Kai and Altria are at the forefront of the team. Report, Your Majesty. Lot, The Orkney army has been assembled. Except for the soldiers on the islands to maintain order, all 5,000 people have arrived. Kay said loudly to Lot. Well, very good, very energetic. Lot spoke to Kay with a compliment. Then he looked at the ships by the sea. Go. We got on the boat and set off. As for Merlin, who is still molesting women somewhere, don't wait for him. He will definitely follow. Chapter 23 Scientific Research and Night Order. Second War on the ocean is nothing new in this world. A little further away, the sea peoples at that time crossed the ocean and destroyed the Hittite Empire and weakened Egypt. A little closer, in the Battle of Octavian in Rome and Actium in Antony, the total number of ships on the sea between the two sides was close to 1,000. Lot, which is less than 100 ships, is actually not a large number. But for the British Isles, this long-distance raid behind the enemy is still very novel. Hey, dear humble Lord Futiging, let's see how I lead people to explode your chrysanthemum. Lot sat on the battleship, eating the apple stolen from Merlin, and thought triumphantly. On one side, Morgan, who happened to be passing by, heard Lot's words, and couldn't help shivering severely. After Lot's teaching, Morgan still knew some metaphors clearly. Morgan glanced at Lot. Your analogy is really weird. You don't really have that kind of preference, do you? Even if you are not interested in men. But, what about mine? Laughter. I warn you. Don't move your thoughts. Morgan thought this in his mind, then waved his finger at Lotby. Lot looked at Morgan's movements, a little strange. What is this reaction? Morgan, what are you doing? Lot said wonderingly. After thinking about it, I didn't offend her except for secretly eating the dessert that Morgan had hidden yesterday. Didn't I forget to bring it? My mouth wanted to eat sweets again, so I ate it quietly. Could it be that I want to steal her clothes secretly while she is going to take a shower, and then only leave a JK uniform for her to wear? But, haven't I done this yet? Morgan clenched his fists. Good guy, you deserve to be a dog. Color and dog. Reflect on yourself. What is wrong with you? Morgan finally said, looking at Lot furiously. Come on, I'm using mind reading. You recruit me. What you have done. I wrote down all these hatreds. Calculate together at that time. Recall the above two things again. Lot shook his head resolutely. No, nothing. Really? Real. Lot said very frankly. Then, he quickly said, by the way, you went to another ship just now, right? How? Did you find anything? The best way to deal with my wife is to talk to her for official affairs when she wants to talk privately. And when she wants to talk about business matters, come and study private matters with her. Except for the faulty food on Altria's ship, the other ships found no problems. Those soldiers didn't quite understand Lot that you ask them to eat a lemon every day. Morgan is also very curious about these, but she definitely wouldn't ask Lot directly. These were all asked by the soldiers. It has nothing to do with yourself. It's okay, they don't need to understand. They only know that I am doing them good. Lot answered to Morgan. These people explain what is scurvy and what is lack of vitamin C. It is really impossible, so it is better to tell them what I ordered and it is over. Scurvy? Vitamin C? Upon hearing these professional words, Morgan suddenly looked dumbfounded. What's this? What is Lot talking about? He wanted to ask questions directly, but Morgan thought that if he said so directly, wouldn't he appear to be a little ignorant? What I don't know as a magician, can you figure it out as a knight? Scurvy, right? Vitamin C, right? Later, I will go quietly and ask the old crew members about their illnesses. Then, let's look at the effect of lemon and figure out what vitamin C is. When the time comes, see if I will surprise you. As an excellent magician, I must be much better at doing these things than Lot, Morgan thought in his heart. But on the surface, she nodded slightly, and then sat beside Lot. Okay, I'll tell them that. Okay. Morgan stretched slightly, and also picked up an apple. He took a bite and said to Lot, yes, it's really sweet. Is this Merlin's? Of course. I stole it from Merlin. Lot smiled slyly on his face. Others can't steal it. Well, yeah. Only you can do it. Morgan paused and continued, so, please steal more. After all, the things stolen from the old liar are extraordinarily sweet. Morgan and Lot smiled at each other and said the same words. This was not overheard by Morgan, but a word from the heart. He and Lot collided with each other in a spirited manner. A certain white hairnet in the shadow tricked his nose. Although he really couldn't see Lot with clairvoyance, it didn't mean that he couldn't see with naked eyes. He stole his things and still slandered him behind his back. Merlin was thinking, if she really had feelings, she would definitely jump out and criticize the two of them, right? Lot and Morgan didn't know that Merlin was watching them secretly from behind. Morgan is still expressing concern about the ensuing battle. You said, our army can win even if it sneaks behind Votagung? How can the combat effectiveness of our army be higher? This can only be used to stimulate soldiers. Other than that, other methods are not easy to use. The best way for soldiers to produce combat effectiveness is to give them a firm belief. The goal of the battle is for their belief, and this belief is not for false gods but for this country. At the same time, there must be strict discipline. Unfortunately, there is only one such force, which is difficult to replicate. The literacy level of Orkney's soldiers is really not good, and they can only use this lowest level of monetary stimulation to improve the soldiers' combat effectiveness. It's a pity. I still think of a way to develop a better combat strategy and reduce losses. An army for faith and strict discipline? Such an army actually exists. Morgan was taken aback by what Lot was thinking. The enthusiasm for not admitting defeat rose in her heart. Well, after I become a queen, I have to build such a troop. But it is very difficult to make soldiers like this. Morgan frowned. But then, her eyes suddenly lit up. The soldiers really can't do it. But what about the cavaliers? Do you want to build a knight who is fighting for the strength of Camelot, not for any god, nor for his own land? Such a knights? Will it be more effective? Chapter 24. The knights join two people. First Morgan left from Lot's side. This dog shirks everything to himself. Now the only business thing to do all day long is to engage in Merlin's mentality. Do the rest by yourself. But Morgan is happy now, so I don't care about doing more. Today she got two new goals to move her forward. One is conducting research on what Lot said about vitamins. She always has a feeling that if this work is completed, it will definitely make herself understand Lot better. At the same time, this will definitely help to enhance Camelot's strength. Morgan speculated in his mind that if Lot's all energy were drained, it would surely bring the whole of Britain to an incredible level. At that time, maybe it was exactly the same as Lot thought, and their strength was not limited to this British island. We are going to France. Even enter the legendary city of Rome. See what the legendary city of Seven Hills looks like. So, for the future of Britain, please be squeezed dry by me, Morgan thought in his heart. And another thing was the establishment of the Knight Order. The army that Lot had in mind was too difficult to realize, and it was very difficult for a civilian army to do it. But if you go to find a group of knights, to infuse them with fighting faith and strict discipline. If that is the case, the older knights would not be suitable. If you're too old, it's certainly not easy to establish your faith. So it's better to be younger. Well, a knight who is very old and not weak, etc. Morgan thought of two people. These two men should be regarded as the newly recruited knights for himself and Lot. It should be the most loyal to the two of us. Okay, go find them. Morgan's eyes lit up. Then he started walking towards Kai and Altria. Bingy is so fast, she never procrastinates when doing things. When he arrived at Altria's ship, Morgan happened to see her standing on the side deck seriously alone, seeming to be watching something. When she saw Morgan using magic tricks, she was surprised at first, and then saw Morgan's appearance. She immediately retracted the half-drawn long sword, then stood up straight and looked at Morgan with her head upright. "His Royal Highness," she said loudly. Now she is considered to be loyal to Lot, so the title to Morgan has changed from the former princess to His Royal Highness. Okay, Morgan nodded slightly. Then she looked around, and asked Altria suspiciously, "Wait, what about the rest of the ship?" "They are eating," Altria replied to Morgan. "How about you?" Morgan was curious. Although Altria is petite, her strength is very strong. It is absolutely impossible for other people to squeeze her out. "Well, I'll eat it later. The pot on the ship is not big enough to cook so much rice all at once." Morgan had the urge to leave now. This kind of dry food is here. Do our knights have to be built around the pot? At that time, what do people think when they see our knights? These knights are discussing things in a cauldron. After that, should we call the round pot knights? Oh, stop it. If this name is said, it is estimated that the enemy will instantly lose half of its combat effectiveness. Laughing. But Morgan thought about it later. Let's recruit him. Anyway, her aptitude is good, and what Lot said is that there is a special place. Then, let him in. When the time comes, let him dry his food quietly behind his back, and don't expose it in front of the enemy. Want a face? Well, okay, then you will eat later. I have something to ask you. What's the matter? Although a little unwilling, Altria was still listening very seriously. Morgan looked at Altria and said seriously, "I want to form a knight order, and I want you to join as the first group of knights." Knights? The dull hair on Altria's head turned into a question mark. Is this to transfer me to a unit alone? A team made up of all knights? Altria was looking forward to it in her heart. Immediately, she thought in her heart, well, Teacher Merlin told me that His Majesty Lot and His Royal Highness Morgan are not the same. His Majesty King Arthur has only the Queen's daughter. In the future, Camelot's throne may belong to the Queen and His Majesty Lot. So, become a member of the Knights at this time. In the future, you will definitely become an excellent and well-known knight. So, His Royal Highness, I am willing to be a member of your knight order. Good. Morgan showed a satisfied expression. At this moment, Altria looked at Morgan and asked curiously, "By the way, Your Royal Highness, how many people are there in this knight order? Let me see who they are." At that time, let's see where I am in the knights. There are only two people. Morgan moved his gaze away from Altria's eyes and said. Altria's dumb hair turned into a question mark again. Well, where is the other one? Look for it now. That person is your righteous brother Kai. Morgan continued to look up. The sky today is really blue. Am I regretting it in time now? Altria thought in her heart. But immediately, she felt that only the two of them were good. If there were only two of them in the knights, then her righteous brother Kay would be the chief of the Morgan Knights in the future, and she would be the second of the knights. Well, this is the earliest veteran. That's also very good. Altria thought so in her heart. Thinking of this, She was instantly balanced in her heart. It is estimated that I can eat more 5 pieces of bread tonight. Well, you follow me and find your righteous brother Kai. Morgan spoke to Altria. Yes. Altria nodded seriously. Afterwards, the two of them went to find the Night Kai together. Kay saw that Altria had become a member of the Knights Morgan wanted to establish, and he agreed. Well, yes, our Night Order is basically established. Seeing that these two men became his first group members, Morgan was very satisfied. By the way, Your Highness, since we are going to form the Night Order, do we have to have a name? Your Highness, what is our name? Oh yes. Morgan reacted immediately. If you don't name them in advance, what should you do if others think they are the Knights of the Round Pot? So we have to quickly pick a name. But what's the name? Morgan thought about it for a while, and then decided that this matter should be considered by some dog. Chapter 25 Knights of the Round Table, Second More. Morgan, what are you talking about? You have formed a Night Order. Lot couldn't help but asked Morgan in surprise. He was still eating apples and singing songs. His wife came over and said something suddenly, and she made something more happen. This time, she turned out to have established Night Order before her sister. Well, yes, I established a night group. Our soldiers are not good at increasing combat effectiveness, so I will gather a knight specially to form an elite combat team. Isn't that good? Morgan seemed to pretend to be indifferent. At the same time, he looked at Lot, expecting him to wait and praise his appearance. Nah, Goozy, my Goozy, hurry up and compliment me. Okay. Lot nodded slightly. At the same time, he thought strangely in his mind. What is this? Are the women of the Pendragon family accustomed to establishing knights? Arthur did one, and Morgan built another. Hearing Lot's heartfelt voice, Morgan squinted his eyes. How? Before I set up the knights, my sister did it first. Also, you are not honest. Laughter. You know my sister's information, but you don't even talk to me. Gan. But this also gave Morgan a posture of not admitting defeat. It is not whoever does it first will win the victory. The winner is the one who laughs last. Lot, come. Think of a better name for my knights. With this kind of reluctance to admit defeat in his heart, Morgan spoke to Lot. Regardless of what kind of knights that sister established, Morgan would overpower her. Although there are only 2 members in her knights now, Morgan is about to make the whole knights taller from the beginning of the name. The naming level of Guzi is still okay. For example, Gu, such as Aggie, such as Gareth, etc. All sound very good names. I believe in your ability to name. It's better than thinking about it for a long time. But, hearing Morgan's words like this, Lot's face suddenly showed a distressed expression. Pick a name. You said let me be a nameless scrap. Come to pick a name. Where do I know the name? Or, how do you feel about this Knights of the Round Table? Lot said to Morgan in a tentative tone. After thinking about it, only this name is suitable. If according to my heart, Morgan builds a fairy knights is most suitable. But it seems that Morgan doesn't like the name very much, so let's use the Knights of the Round Table. The word fairy is not a good word in this day and age. Morgan heard Lot think so and grinds his teeth lightly. Hey, dog, what do you think of me? Think of me as a fairy? Humphrey, fortunately you didn't say it. Otherwise I have to. Must. I will write you a sum in the notebook. Calculate together at that time. However, the picture of the Knights of the Round Table, this term is not very good, right? Morgan said to Lot hesitantly. This term sounds a little better than the Knights of the Round Pot, right? The round pot is directly facing the pot and then eaten. And now this night group is like bringing the food to the dinner table to eat. They're all doing rice. This sounds like a waste of food. I think the Knights of the Round Table is pretty good. Lot said to Morgan in wonder. The round table is round. No position is the beginning, and every position is the end. It means equality in the world. All the Knights of the Round Table are equal to each other and partners. Isn't this a good name? What? Hearing Lot's words like this, Morgan's face suddenly turned red. I thought it meant just dry rice. Well, husband, what you said is really not wrong. I thought about it a little bit, and then I felt that you were right. Yes, my knights will be called the Knights of the Round Table in the future. Morgan wouldn't tell Lot what he thought. Damn, tell him that all he was thinking about just now was dry food. If Lot knew that, he would have to laugh to death. If you don't recognize it, you won't recognize it if you die. Also, these are all caused by Altria who interfered with my thinking. I don't do this in normal times. In the next time, I have to make people train you so that you can forget about cooking for a while. I never hold grudges against others. It was reported on the spot. Thinking of this, Morgan opened his mouth and said to Lot, okay, then I'm going to train my knights. Lot, get the food ready and wait for me to come back to eat in the evening. Okay, you go. Lot agreed. Morgan went straight out. She still sighed in her heart. She didn't want to waste time. Watching Morgan leave, Lot scratched his head and said, I made up the Knights of the Round Table when King Arthur was still a scout knight. Oh, please forgive me, who is so sinful. In the last sentence, Lot has no sincerity at all. He did not apologize for plagiarizing King Arthur. As for what will King Arthur do in the future, Lot called so much. If there is no round table, then it is called a round pot. There can always be a name, isn't it? Rather than thinking about these, it would be better to think about what kind of food to get Morgan for tonight. The night on the ship, That's really a suitable time and place for a candlelight dinner. Lot continued to speak to himself. On the other side, Morgan found Altria and Kay. Our knights have been named. Starting today, our name will be the Knights of the Round Table, Morgan said to the two men. Okay. Kay and Altria didn't disagree at all. Even Altria supports this name very much, although it is not clear. She feels directly that this name is really good. Well, now that the name has been figured out, we should prepare a plan to expand the number of people next. I have an enemy that is difficult to deal with, and if I deal with her at that time, I will need your help. Morgan continued to say. Zukai, they said. Altria nodded very seriously. Well, His Majesty Lot and His Royal Highness Morgan are very kind to me. Their enemy is my enemy. At this moment, Morgan ordered to the two of them, Kay, you go find qualified knights to join our knights. Remember, you can't be too old, and you can't be weak. Yes. Kay nodded. Morgan then looked at Altria. Okay, revenge begins. As for you Altria, you need to increase your training now. Starting today, double the training intensity.